Welcome back, Focus Learners, to another explainer. Today, we're building on the spike method to tackle something pretty fascinating. We're going to look at how to make highly intimidating social goals actually achievable. How? By breaking them down into simple, completely non-obvious tactics. So, if you've ever felt totally overwhelmed by the mechanics of a great conversation, well, you are in the exact right place. Let's dive into this. We are focusing on a highly specific, tactical approach to communication. Basically, learning how to seamlessly transition out of mundane conversations and into engaging dialogues using a structured method. It's really all about engineering your interactions rather than just leaving them to chance.
Seriously, why are you still talking about the weather? It's a universal pain point, isn't it? We actually call this the small talk trap. You're standing there, you've got these fascinating interests, deep passions, and really unique experiences, yet somehow you're trapped. You're in this endless, agonizing loop discussing the impending rain, or the heat, or just generic conditions outside. It's so frustrating. You want to elevate the conversation, but you feel completely locked into this dull topic.
Instead of just settling for that boring reality, the daily commute complaints or generic work chat, think about what you're actually losing here. It's a massive missed opportunity to share your unique spikes. As we explored in the spike method, these are your engineered, highly memorable areas of interest. They're what make you, you. The major disconnect here is having these great spikes, but feeling locked into that weather talk, totally unable to transition without completely disrupting the flow of the conversation.
To solve this, today's explainer covers 4 main areas. 1. The small talk trap. 2. Enter the bridge technique. 3. The mechanics of the pivot. And finally, engineering social mastery.
All right, let's jump right into section 1, the small talk trap, and why we get stuck in the mundane.
Okay, so here is a massive paradigm shift. We constantly find ourselves trapped in these boring conversations, mostly because we're terrified of sounding like a narcissist if we just abruptly change the subject to something we want to talk about. So what do? Well, we wait. We wait for this magical, natural transition to appear out of nowhere. But let me tell you, relying on an organic pivot, it's a total trap. It means you're relying on mere social luck instead of structured tactics. If you wait for the topic of the weather to organically morph into your niche personal interest, you're going to be waiting forever. We have to move away from social luck and move toward engineering.
Moving on to section 2. Enter the bridge technique, a tactical approach to conversation. Think of this as your new secret weapon. The bridge technique is literally a social engineering tactic used to effortlessly steer a dull conversation toward your personal areas of interest. And notice those words, engineering tactic. This isn't about having some innate magical charisma, right? It's a mechanical skill. High-level engagement is absolutely achievable when you treat it this way. It's that non-obvious tactic that solves the exact hurdle of how to actually talk about those spikes without sounding self-centered. You don't wait for the conversation to shift, you actively but smoothly build a bridge exactly where you want it to go.
Okay, section 3, mechanics of the pivot, and how to actually bridge this gap in real life.
Let's break down the inner workings of how this pivot actually functions in real time. It's a highly reliable, formulaic maneuver known as the acknowledge and pivot. Step 1, you absolutely must briefly acknowledge the boring prompt. Answer the question about the weather or the commute. Don't just ignore it. Step 2, deploy the bridge phrase. This is your seamless transitional connector. And step 3, you immediately introduce your spike. This sequence is entirely reliable and honestly anyone can execute it because it completely removes all the guesswork from the interaction.
So let's look at this formula in action. Imagine saying something like, yeah, the commute was really long, but it actually gave me an hour to catch up on that 18th century maritime podcast I mentioned. Look at the structure there. The commute was long is step 1. You're briefly acknowledging the mundane. Then comes the seamless transition. But it actually gave me an hour to catch up on. That right there is your bridge. And finally, the spike. That 18th century maritime podcast. Boom. You've moved from a boring complaint about traffic to a fascinating niche in seconds.
Now, there's a really vital nuance here to make sure you don't alienate your listener. You have to understand the difference between the what and the why. The what is just simply stating a fact about yourself, which triggers that fear we mentioned earlier of sounding super self-centered. But bridging works best when you pivot to the why, the actual motivation behind your interest. When you share the underlying human curiosity behind your hobbies or experiences, you're actively inviting the other person into your passion. You're making the conversation about shared human connection rather than just delivering a monologue about yourself.
Which brings us to our final section, section 4, engineering social mastery, and actionable scripts for any situation.
All right, this is your ultimate tactical playbook. To truly engineer your conversations, you absolutely must avoid relying on social luck. When you're trapped in small talk, remember to acknowledge the mundane topic first to validate the other person. Then use your transitional bridge phrase, seamlessly pivot to your unique spike, and always, always focus on the why. Your biggest goal coming out of this explainer is to use these rules to write down and memorize 3 to 4 reliable bridge scripts of your own, because having these scripts ready means high-level conversation is achievable practically on demand.
So, I'll leave you with this. What will your next conversational pivot be? You now have the exact blueprint to stop relying on pure luck and start actually engineering your social interactions. The next time someone asks you about the weather or complains about their commute, you aren't trapped anymore. You have the tactics to build a bridge and share what truly makes you interesting. So go craft your scripts and get ready to test your newly engineered social skills in the real world.